So, I wanted to know because we were talking about when you left Berdychiv. I do remember when I was a little girl that your mother, my grandmother, told me that my grandfather had died. And then I asked my mother about it, and my mother said that he had been shot because executed because all of the prisoners were executed, and that was what I believed for much of my life.
We all believe that.
Right. And it turns out the circumstances of he did die sometime later, but the circumstances of his death were different. But I was wondering whether your mother had tried to protect you from that information when you were very little.
No,
or
she never did.
You always knew that.
We knew. Well, we knew
You were always told that.
That father was dead, and eventually we understood that he probably was executed by gunfire.
Because, explain why.
Because when we found out that in Berdychiv, when the Germans were advancing and Russians were retreating, they burned all documents and all files about people that they maintained in prison, and the prisoners that were still in that prison, they locked them up, they doused the prison with gasoline and set on fire and burned all the prisoners alive.
But he wasn't in Berdychiv.
He was not there, but we had no reason to doubt that in other prisons they did the same thing.
So you thought as the Germans were advancing, you were certain that they just killed all the prisoners.
If he was not shot before that, he died burned in a prison.
Okay. So in the other languages, you went on to explain what we found out later. So much later, many years later.
After Ukraine became independent, my mother went on a visit to Ukraine and got acquainted with some people that showed interest in the subject. They started going to archives of the years in which my father was being processed, and discovered that he was pardoned from a death sentence exchanged into 10 years of forced labor in Siberia.
Yes. He had been sentenced to death, but it had been commuted
to 10 years in Siberia, in the worst of the prison camps in Gulag.
Right.
And there he succumbed to, probably got killed.
Yeah, eventually. All right. So when your mother, I know that your mother told me that she believed that she had to go on with her life and take care of his children because she thought he was not around.
Yes.
When you went to Berdychiv, this was my last question. Actually, I'm going to go back just for a second because I want to comment on this. Because I do remember when my grandmother, your mother, talked to me about this. She was furious. She was so angry that
by mistake they killed. It was not she was even by mistake. Just for need to disseminate terror, they killed an innocent man.
She was so angry that they admitted that they had nothing on him. And I remember that I felt weirdly relieved. Growing up in Canada, where we have a justice system that is at least somewhat responsible, I felt like having the state acknowledge, they eventually acknowledged that
had nothing on him,
that he was imprisoned under entirely false premises during Stalin's terror, and that he was actually innocent, and they might have even given him compensation.
Yes.
I found myself very relieved by that even the Soviet Union acknowledged that. So we have less than half a minute. Did you miss anything when you left Berdychiv?
No, I didn't. Like toys, there was not an abundance of toys that children have now.
But no special clothes, no special nothing.
I had the clothes I had were minimum because I was at the stage that was growing very much, and I did not have a big wardrobe.
Okay, we're done.